Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where in this wonderful world you might be. Thank you for making the Highbury Squad part of your day. A little Wednesday wisdom coming with one of our favourites. Here we go.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Hola, everyone. For those of you listening and watching on replay, as many of you will be because it's a big football night tonight, I hope you enjoy the show because joining me is one of our favourites, author, journalist, writer extraordinaire, Monsieur Dave Seager back at Squad Central. Welcome, Dave.
Good evening, Sophie. How are you?
I'm pretty epic. How about yourself?
Oh, very good. Very good. Been looking forward to this all day.
Let's get stuck right into it. Everyone listening on our audio platforms as well, iTunes and Spotify and Acast, thank you so much for joining. And for those of you who are watching on replay, let's hope that Man United and Tottenham could both lose in this game, but they can't, unfortunately. And I'm not sure about Liverpool, West Ham, but maybe they could both lose too. If only that was possible in sports. Let's not forget our partners, Zenith Coins. Go to zenithcoins.com. The link is in our description. Get your 25% off. It's the gift that keeps on giving, the official licensed partner of our wonderful club. Dave, how are you? Is your heart settled after that Leeds game?
Yeah. Funny old game. It's, I'm sure everything's been said, but it's one of those games that, if you're going to win leagues, you're going to have to win games that you don't deserve to win. We haven't had that luck in recent years. We haven't had those decisions. We had them all on Sunday. So, about time, fair play. 1 3 points and move on to the next game.
Yeah, no, that's
lessons to be learned. To be fair, I think we all know Arteta will learn quickly from.
What do you think is the biggest lesson? Seeing as you bought, what is the biggest lesson you think?
I just think it's one of those things where we're 9 games in, and I think Jesse Marsch spotted things that maybe other coaches haven't spotted and played things a little bit differently. And we've got away with playing this very high line. Defensively, we've got quicker defenders than we used to have. And I think we've got away with it until now. And other teams will have been watching the way that Leeds front four exploited, our high line and got in behind too easily. And that may be as simple as, we'll have Tierney back in the side, whatever it may be. But I just think, Arteta's bright enough to look and think, as he did in the last 10 or 15 minutes, he changed the structure. I'm surprised he didn't do it earlier. I did think we were run ragged for a period of time in the second half, but we got away with it, as I say. Just hope we learn and we don't make those mistakes because other coaches would have been watching, definitely.
We're going to focus on Southampton a little bit later on this week, but while I have you here real quick before we jump into tomorrow night's game, we're not going to face too many high-octane teams like Leeds. Southampton do press and they do come at you. It's not going to be the speed and the I was going to say velocity, but that's not the right word. It's just not going to be as intense as Leeds, is it? So does that...
And also, despite Leeds' Leeds have had some poor results, but their performances have been great. So they weren't playing like a team that was low on confidence on 9 points. Southampton will be playing like a team that's low on confidence, in my view. I live obviously in the area again now, having spent many years down here. I've been a regular at some areas for Arsenal games, and we've had some bad luck there and we've had some bad performances there. But right now, Southampton are, despite the fact they're winning tonight, I believe they are low on confidence. So It's a good time. It's a good time to be going there, I think. And they definitely haven't got the pace up front that Leeds have. And tactically, they got a great manager, but I just think the confidence of the players won't be the same as Leeds. I think Leeds are, despite their lowly position, have been playing well and have been unlucky.
Dave, in hindsight, it's funny how things work. We're a bit knackered. Every team has got a lot to play for in October. It's an insane month. Are you kind of happy that we're not facing Manchester City? Because I was a bit disappointed before they lost to Liverpool and before the Leeds game. But now I'm thinking, I think I'm a bit pleased that we don't have to face them.
I couldn't agree more, Sophie. I'm very relieved to be going to the match tomorrow and it'd be PSV rather than Man City. I think it's one of those things we just caught a break with the royal demise. It worked in our favour in this instance. But no, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, Man City will be hurt and would have been playing hurt this week, which would have been dangerous. So yeah, I think it'd be better to put that one off for a bit longer. And whatever happens this week with all the fixtures tonight and last night, we're top of the league, whatever, with a game in hand on Spurs. So fantastic.
Lovely job, Lee. Let's have a discussion. Why not? Let's see let's see what Dave and Super Kev are thinking about this, because Super Kev isn't here, but as you all know, he's always here when he's not here, and he sent a couple questions for Dave. So let's crack on as the Arsenal face PSV, a very informed team scoring lots of goals in Europe and in their league, just a step behind Ajax so far this season. Here we go.
Hi, Soph. Hi, Dave. Hi, Squaddies. I hope you're well. I hope you have a great show. At ease. I have a question. Probably got two questions. One about PSV, one about Southampton. PSV. Do you play your strongest side, knowing that if you win, you'll probably finish top of the group? So then in the coming weeks, you can change it. And number two, Southampton away. For that game, do you still play your strongest side back to back? Anyway, sorry I can't be with you. I'm extremely busy right now. So look after yourself. Take good care. And I'm out, Sophie, Dave, and Squaddies. At ease, look after yourselves. I've got to leave. Look after yourself now. Bye. Love you.
He cracks me up. I got to leave. Such a legend. God, I love it. Okay, so Dave, let's tackle question number one first. Martinelli not feeling well, didn't train. Gabriel maybe has a little bit of a knock. How are you handling this match?
I think the answer in my mind is probably halfway between the two. I think we'll see, and I hope we'll see, a stronger side than we've seen in the last three outings in the Europa League. But I don't necessarily think we'll see the same 11 that's going to start the Premier League matches week in, week out at the moment, or has been. So I think it'll be a blend. I think, we'll get 5 or 6 regular starters and 5 or 6 who are normally on the bench would be my best guess. And that's also what I think is the right decision. I mean, PSV are the strongest rivals in the group. But I think also, maybe Kev said we've got to win to guarantee winning the group. I think the draw will probably see us winning the group, will it not?
Yeah.
Actually, so, but no, I do take his point that it will be lovely, with the games coming, that we could sort of, play a complete second string in the 5th and 6th fixtures. But I think, halfway between the two. What do you think?
Yeah. So when you say halfway, I'm thinking, here's what I would do. And I'd love your take. I'd actually rest Benjamin. He looked a little bit knackered the other day. Start Tommy at right back. If Gabriel is even, has a slight knock, I'd rest him, play holding with Saliba. Kieran Tierney I'd bring in. I'd rest Thomas Partey at all costs, bring in Sambi, Xhaka, rest Odegaard, play Fabio Vieira, rest Saka, bring in Marquinhos, play Eddie, and give Reece Nelson another shot on the left. Now, I know that front line may not possess that prowess, but if Saka and Jesus and some of these other players are on the bench, Dave, I would go in that direction. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I think that's probably pretty close. I hadn't read up on Gabriel's niggle. I think that's pretty close. I mean, I do want Marquinhos to play. He was rested in the last game. I want him to play. I don't think Saka will play. I think you're right, and I do think Eddie will definitely play. I also think if Martinelli's fit, he'll play him, because I thought, I know Reece Nelson needs minutes, but this is a bigger game than the last week, and he was so far off the pace. For me, I just thought he tried hard, but not a lot that he tried came off. His passes were, slow on pace or over paced. He had that brilliant, turn of pace where he can run, but his decision making at the end of those runs wasn't great. And I think PSV are stronger than the other games, so I don't really want Reece Nelson to start. Much as I love it, I'd love to be proved wrong and Reece Nelson sort of turns the corner. But no, I mean, if Martinelli's fit, I would still pay him. I don't see any concerns if he's fit, because he just runs all day, every game. And as you say, if we've got a strong bench, we can ring the changes in the second half if we're doing well. But no, apart from that, yeah, I think that. I mean, I want Kieran Tierney to play. Anyway, I didn't like the Tomiyasu decision against Leeds. I thought he played brilliantly against Salah, and he was a job that he was given to do, and he did it brilliantly. But I don't see the point of playing him at left back when we've got a top quality international left back who's chomping at the bit to play. I didn't see any logic in that, and I thought it marginally backfired. I think, so I definitely want Tierney to play.
Yeah, and what message does that send to KT really if you start doing that game after game, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's such a professional. I mean, he would already be thinking that he lost his place at the start of the season to Zinchenko, and then for Zinchenko to be injured and then still not to start, it's a tough one. I'm sure he could have understood the reason against Salah, although it's easy in hindsight because Tomiyasu had a brilliant game against Salah,
right.
But who's to say Tierney wouldn't have done? He's rightly praised. The alternative, which we haven't considered, is that we play Tierney and Tomiyasu, and we play Tomiyasu at left centre back, and that does enable us to rest Gabriel, and it would enable us to rest Saliba as well. So we could play Holding on the right, where he is naturally right-footed, and Tomiyasu on the left, where we know he can play for Japan, and he's equally adept with his left or right foot. The downside of that, it's great on paper. The downside is obviously that they haven't played together before, so probably a bit risky. I would like to see Tomiyasu at left centre back at some point, though.
Yeah, that's the adaptability that we have. It's not square peg round holes anymore, like Callum Chambers and Maitland-Niles a little bit. It's like, talented, versatile players who can and have proven that they can play in those positions.
I think that's what Arteta's buying,
Yeah, totally. I left this up because PSV aren't any joke, and that's right. And Xavi Simons is having a fantastic season. Gakpo, of course, is a player that we've long admired and been linked with. And naturally, there is that argy-bargy with Ruud van Nistelrooy in the history that we have there. Mikel Arteta was asked about that in his press conference, and he said, of course, I wasn't around at the time, but you can sense like the rivalry and the intensity of, those types of rivalries and what they spawned. And he also, talked a little bit about, Matt Turner actually, I thought, and Lynn had brought it up in the chat, some great comments from him about saying he's not the same keeper he was 6 months ago, Dave, because of how Mikel Arteta has worked with him on the training pitch, and that sometimes, he's made mistakes in training, but that's because they're challenged more and he's being asked to take more risks. And the questions come up in chat: do you stick with Matt Turner in this match, or do you play Ramsdale, knowing that you've got two attacking players for PSV who can not only create anything on their own and on a whim, but also very fast, very quick, and very versatile in the air, quick with their feet, just really good players?
Well, the problem is not, I don't know enough about PSV to know whether they play a high press. I mean, because I've got no problem with Turner as a shot stopper. I'm sure we've all seen that he's, he's top draw. The question mark is over his distribution and speed of distribution when he's put under pressure, and that's what Arteta's been working on, and we definitely saw an improvement from game week 1 to game week 3 or game week 4, where we played game week 3, whatever. But he was very good in the last couple of games, I thought. So I'm not concerned about Turner playing. I think his confidence will be high, and he's going to the World Cup. He's a top quality keeper. We've just been so blessed with the distribution from Ramsdale, over and above Leno, and even over above Martinez, to be honest with you. So we've been very blessed, and so we get a little bit worried. But I don't think we need to be. I think Turner will definitely play tomorrow night.
And to be fair to him, and for a lot of Arsenal fans, he was our man of the match in Norway last week. And
no, I think he definitely was.
Yeah, and I don't think he gets enough credit, actually. People keep talking about distribution with the feet, and that's fundamentally important in a Mikel Arteta team, Dave. But his distribution with his arm is fantastic. I don't think that gets recognised enough. And like you said, he will be the starting goalkeeper for the United States at the World Cup.
And he's quick. He's quick with that distribution. He's always looking. As soon as he's got the ball, he's looking for that distribution. And he did play some very, very confident 25, 30-yard lofted balls out to the wing, to the fullbacks on the wing last week as well. So no, I've every faith that we've made a good decision, unlike the last Icelandic decision we made.
Yeah. Well, they definitely play quick football, and they've got some, they're good on the flanks, but they're two attacking players, I
The
think.
concern, if that's the case, is more Holding than Turner, I would say.
Yeah. So we'll come back to our predictions on Arsenal versus PSV towards the end of the show. Item number 2 on our agenda this evening: the rising star of Mr. Bukayo Saka reports today that Chelsea are sniffing around our wonder boy. How dare they?
Last week
Contract
they were
talks.
sniffing around Martinelli, apparently.
Fabrizio Romano, the man who seems to be in the know, says these negotiations have been going on for a while, as Arsenal fans know this, and they're pretty advanced. He's asking for money, and some people think he's using Chelsea as leverage. Let's admit, Eddie used a lot of different tools for leverage to get the deal that he wanted. If Eddie's worth 100k plus, this guy is definitely worth the 200 plus. His star is rising. We're seeing him now, in kind of a pop culture sense as well. Cover of Time magazine. He's just been a shining star for Arsenal and for England, together with Beth Mead, of course, at the Ballon d'Or this week. Talk me through Saka a little bit, how you think this is going to play out, and just how important he has been, but is becoming even more so to our club.
Yeah, I mean, well, we were in a situation where last year and the year before he carried us at the age of 19 and 20. Luckily for him, at the age of 21, he's surrounded by some better quality players and a team that understands the system. So there's less pressure on his shoulders, which I think is a good thing. You can't carry everything for as long as he had and it not affect you. And it definitely affected his form at the end of last season. I don't have any concerns at all about him going to any club in the UK. I don't think Man City, I don't think Liverpool, I don't think Chelsea, I don't think anyone could tempt Bukayo Saka to leave Arsenal. When Bukayo Saka leaves Arsenal, he will be going to Real Madrid or Barcelona, no question in my mind. And I don't think that's going to be until towards the end of the contract. I think he's going to sign in the next month. That's how confident I am. I would say that. And then if we start winning things, he may never go. He's an Arsenal boy. He's on record as saying negotiations are going well, and he's not going anywhere. So I don't know why the press need to. Well, we do know why the press need to do what they need to do. But honestly, I'm not concerned. Martinelli has said he'll sign it. Anything that's been put in front of him more than once, Saka said similar. I don't think there's any danger of either of those players. And I also think they love playing with Gabriel Jesus, both of them. Who wouldn't? I don't have any concerns. And as for his importance, I think he can already be mentioned in the same breath as some Arsenal greats in my mind, and I don't think we're anywhere near his ceiling. And I said to you a few weeks ago when I was last on that he needs to be getting close to Jesus when the attack's on the left. We've seen that the last 2 weeks. He's scoring goals. That goal, the winner at the weekend, that was with his right foot at such an angle. He wouldn't have even tried that. Even last year when he was that good, he wouldn't have tried that. So his confidence is sky high. And I just think he's loving his football. And I think he's also on record as saying how much Arteta's done with him and how much he's worked with him and how much he respects him. And I know it's easy to say players always say the right things, but I genuinely think, he's an Arsenal boy. It would be a huge thing. And I think he's seeing something happening around him, which he probably wasn't seeing before as well.
Yeah, and I would love and all great comments, by the way, in chat on Saka, and he's the player that we love, but, we have a few players that we've fallen in love with, but he's the nucleus and the identity and the marketability factor for the Arsenal. Someone actually said, not only is he the face of Arsenal, but he's becoming one of the face of the Premier League. We've seen Foden sign his new deal at City. It would be great. Like, you could see Foden staying at City for the majority of his career. Hopefully, Saka will do the same.
I think also for England, by the way, just as an aside, those two have to start together. This ridiculous Southgate notion of one of them has to be on the right and the other one can't play is just wrong. I'm not saying you just put your best two players in the team and build around it. You don't need to, you only got to look at the way Odegaard and Saka play. They're completely interchangeable. You could easily play Foden in the middle and Saka on the right, and they could be interchangeable with either Sterling or Grealish on the left. I know you're not interested in the England team, Soph.
No, I am.
But I think, we're talking about two players who could both break, cap records for England.
Dave, you know what I feel's brewing here, and I love riffing off and stuff in our conversations. Is it feels like another Steve Gerrard, Lampard. They can't play together, and maybe they couldn't, and maybe they could, depending on which side of the fence you sit on. But it feels like that narrative is starting to build, and there's a few experts like yourself who feel like, why can't they play together? But is Southgate going to take that kind of?
Well,
I'm
no expert, but I mean, Gary Neville thinks it's either or. I used a link that he put in an interview recently, in an article recently. I just don't get it. That ridiculous situation where Saka was playing left wing back the other week in the friendly, and then when he came on in the second half, the next game on the right of midfield, it just completely changed the game. Along with Mason Mount, to be fair, in that particular game. But no, I think Foden is a free flowing player, and you can put him anywhere, and his work rate's phenomenal. I think Saka is similar, but I think Saka will stay on the right and he'll do a job for the team, and he'll just work up and down that flank, and he'll come inside when he needs to. Foden's a much freer player, and I think you could easily play, both of them in a 4-2-3-1. We just got this crazy situation with England that Southgate's sticking to a back three at the moment. And as an aside here, another tangent, the fact that he is playing a back three is brilliant news right now for Ben White, because with Walker out for the World Cup and now James out for the World Cup, I'm fairly convinced Ben White will go, because whether he plays a back three or back four, Ben White can play right back or right centre back, which is what Walker was used for in the previous World Cup. So I think that's a great, I don't want to wish any player injured, but I think it's great news for Ben White. And then if we have Ben White in England, and Saka playing together for England with that great club understanding, how good would that be, for England?
Yeah. They've built up such a good partnership, haven't they, since that start of the season? There were a couple of hiccups here and there, even though we were winning. A lot of people were saying, well, Benjamin isn't overlapping enough, and Saka was having to come back to defend. And exactly. It's really quite, and Ben White has just been a revelation this season. I wouldn't say revelation, because we've been huge fans of his since, last season, and since we signed him, and he was part of that Bielsa team that he helped get promoted to the Premier League, did really well for Brighton. Another versatile player, played DM, right back, centre back, just a great player. And I know that you're a massive fan of his as well.
It's just one of those things, isn't it? That you this is why since I was a kid, probably since my 20s, I've never latched on to players in the way that younger fans perhaps do. I think it's dangerous, because last year, barring Saka, everyone's favourite player was Tomiyasu. And you start this season and Tomiyasu can't get a minute. And now he can't get a minute in his position. And he comes on, he does a fantastic job, he shores up, and it's good old Tomiyasu. But, last year we absolutely loved him. We were raving about him till he got injured. He was just our best player, barring Saka. And so if you get completely attached to that, you can think, oh, God, Ben White's only holding the fort. We can't leave Ben White there. He's not a right back. And now, 2 months later, it's like, I'm sorry, Tommy, Ben White's better. So, if you get yourself in that attached to a player and that's your favourite team or that's your favourite formation, you can't do that. You just have to be flexible. And that's why I admire managers, because it must be so tough. Because, we've seen Arteta interviewed on Tomiyasu. He's a fantastic player. He can play anywhere across the back four. But he can't get a start for Arsenal unless it's in his wrong position at the moment.
I love it, and that's a good thing. This is exactly what we've been waiting for, hasn't it, for years and years. And another player as well, seeing as we're on this diversion, is last season, a lot of fans wanted Gabriel to be captain and said how much he was saving White at the back, and he was the beast. And now he's getting a little bit of stick, Dave, from some of our fans. We did a show with Tom Canton a couple of weeks ago, where we kind of stood up and defended him in terms of how he's stacking up against some other centre-backs in the league. Yes, he's prone to the odd mistake, but even when you heard Mikel today in his presser, there's a risk-reward factor to the position that he's played and what he's being asked to do. I know that you're a fan of Gabriel. You're not concerned, are you, about?
No, I'm not. My concern is that we don't have which might bring us on to the Trusty conversation, but we don't have an obvious, barring Tomiyasu, we don't have a player who's competent on his left foot centrally in defensive situations. So my concern is with Gabriel is if that had been a red card, it really affects us because Arteta doesn't like playing a right footer on the left. The only player he's really done it with is Luiz, who was pretty comfortable both, and he'd always played on the left for Chelsea. So, but I don't think Arteta wants to do that. So it's a concern if Gabriel gets, injured or suspended. It is a concern. As regards form, I was never as convinced as some people. I wasn't convinced in the signing. I was impressed early on. He worried me a lot in the middle of the season. He went to ground too easily. He made some rash decisions. I hope that's going to get better. But I'm not, I don't feel the quality, is there compared to, say, a White or a Saliba. But he's a wholehearted player and he's left-footed. And right now, he gives everything every week. So, he has my support. But, it's one of those things where if we signed a left-footed centre-back, it was better than Gabriel, I certainly wouldn't lose any sleep. And it'd be lovely to have Gabriel as our cover. But I don't think he's the best we can get. It's not criticism. I just think there are better left-sided central defenders.
And there's some people that have come on this show saying it's very hard to find better left-sided defenders.
Well, you look at England. That's why they're flipping playing Harry Maguire because he doesn't trust Guay or Mings, who are the only left-footers he's got. So he's playing Harry Maguire, who's not even playing for Man United because he hasn't got a left-footer. And there aren't lots of great left-footers around.
Hold your thought on Trusty because we're going to shift there. But before we do, I did want to wrap up the Saka convo in terms of seeing him at the Ballon d'Or with Vivi and Beth and, Mido, I thought was completely robbed of the Ballon d'Or. I know, Putellas is so talented and wins everything with Barcelona, winning the Euros and coming back from adversity the way that she did. I thought she totally deserved it. And then the disrespect from, I think it was the AP saying Vivian Miedema and Guest attending the Ballon d'Or. They've since corrected that. It was absolutely atrocious. And the Arsenal universe rightly went for them in a big way. Looking absolutely fabulous. So proud of these three. Look at the superstars that we have in, I think Vivi's proved herself to be a superstar. Mead, I think, became one during the Euros, and Saka is en route to, I think, almost now in world football. I think most would consider him a little superstar. And seeing these two represent our club and at national level as well is just an absolutely beautiful thing. I think
lovely that they play. Lovely that there's synergy of them both playing on the right as well, predominantly.
Isn't it great? And I think that she was robbed blind, and I actually believe that Saka finishing 8th was a bit of a robbery too. I mean, I don't know all the players. I know that the player that won the Ballon d'Or for the young player of the year is doing well for Barcelona. But if you look at his stats in terms of goals and assists compared to Saka, and in terms of what Saka did has done for England and for Arsenal, Barcelona have not been lighting the world on fire at all of late, have they, Dave? Do you think that he was robbed too?
Well, certainly. I mean, I didn't think he was going to win it, but the position he finished in did surprise me. Yeah, I mean, I think that's. But then I think also, I mean, I'm not a huge follower of the Ballon d'Or, but it is the same faces every year, and it's almost like you have to do your time. It's like Benzema, isn't it? Or he's been 5th, he's been 6th, probably. He's now won it, and you had those two great players. And I think the fact that Saka's been recognised at 20, because let's face it, this would have been put together when he was still 20. The fact that he's there or thereabouts at 20, and we haven't seen anywhere near his ceiling yet. I think now he's in the psyche of world football. Those votes will increase year on year. So I think. I think Arsenal aren't playing on the Champions League stage, which obviously hurts him as well, because people are going to think, well, if Arsenal, if he might be Arsenal's best player, but if he can't take them above 5th in the Premier League, then So I'm just thinking playing devil's advocate to a degree, but I do think now he's in the psyche. If he has a good World Cup, that will be a very different situation next year. But you've got to remember that people like Beckham, Henry, there's a lot of people who finish seconds and thirds. Who were incredible players, and they were a lot older and a lot further down their career paths than young BUKAYO. So I know I'm not concerned.
I there's plenty of time for him, and a lot of Arsenal fans do feel that the Ballon d'Or died the year that Thierry didn't win it. Let's switch back and forward because we were talking about the centre back position. You wrote a great article for Gunners Town, and not a lot of fans are following. A lot do love to follow our loanees. When we signed Trusty from MLS, similarly to Matt Turner, everyone was, of course, who. No one's going to know him, right? But at the same time, I think we should all be open minded about finding players, and we find gems from around the world all the time. Talk me through your article a little bit and the
Well,
conversation that you had.
yeah, I mean, the article wasn't, any great knowledge on my part. The article is, I thought there's something going on here, so I wanted to find out more. That's the journalist instincts, I guess. But so I interviewed a guy who's ex-Sky reporter, Chris Scudder. In fact, he's ITV News. He's been on virtually every night this week reporting on football. So he's, he's quite high profile. And he's a lifelong Blues fan. So I thought, well, he knows his football and he's a Birmingham fan, so he's a good person to ask. And he was happy to do a quick interview because, I mean, I'm seeing the headlines. He's scoring from centre back. The Birmingham fans absolutely love him. He's got a chant within the first month of the season. He's left-footed. You're thinking, well, there's a lot here that sounds positive, but obviously not watching Birmingham and not watching the Championship that much. You need to get some first-hand knowledge. So I was just asking the questions that the Arsenal fans will probably want to know the answer to, which is basically, can he play out from the back? Is he cultured, or is he just an old school centre back, a Rob Holding Mark II? And can he make the step up? And there's you go. The comment: Trusty is loved in Birmingham, and he scored 2 goals in the outing before last against Bristol City. So yeah, they were the questions, and the upshot from Chris Scudder was. He thinks he thinks at this stage it's probably too early for him to be in the World Cup squad, and I know the Birmingham manager John Eustace has called for him to play, and you've probably got an opinion on that, Soph. But I think the general consensus was he definitely is on the right trajectory to be a squad player for Arsenal next year, not a starter, which is all I wanted to hear, because we need a left-footed understudy, and if we have a left-footed understudy, we can say thanks, Rob. It's been great, but you deserve to be playing week in, week out for a mid-table Premier League. He's good enough, and he's done a great job for Arsenal over the years. But we need a first choice left-footed centre back and a second choice. We sold Murray, so we've lost that. Mavropanos could play there. All the players who could have stepped up have gone, so we do need that left-footed centre back. So that was what I wanted to find out. And the opinion of this guy who watches him is that he could well be that player for us next year if he carries on improving, which is all I wanted to find out, really.
No, it's a great piece. Go. It's in the link. The link is in the description of the show, you guys, so you can take a read. It's a great interview and some really good insights. And it is not an easy league to play in. I kind of like that he's gone to Birmingham. A lot of people were questioning Saliba going back to Liga. I think sometimes it's not easy playing football at these levels, Dave. But I think going to Birmingham. Talk about get used to a tough league, tough schedule, amount of games. It's a good test. It's a really good test.
I think the other thing is we something we've not always been great at. Think of Nabry, for example. We haven't always picked the right clubs for our loanees to go to, and we've been getting a lot better at that in the last few seasons. Maybe Arteta pays more attention to the detail for the younger players, perhaps than Arsene Wenger did. I don't know, but. The point that Chris Scudder made was in the article, had he come to Birmingham last year, it would have been a disaster and it wouldn't have helped him, because they were literally playing the long ball game under Lee Bowyer. Under John Eustace, they're trying to change and they're trying to play out from the back. They're trying to play like a more cultured style, play through the lines. So Trusty went to the right club as far as Chris Scudder was concerned to get an apprenticeship to play Premier League for a club that wants to play out from the back, which is important because we've seen so many of our loanees in recent years go to clubs where they haven't been used, or if they have been used, they haven't been used in a way that's going to help us in the future.
Yeah, that's a brilliant point, because it's like Emil. I think his loan spell at Huddersfield. I mean, there were injuries at first, weren't there? But in the end, it was a good place for him to go. Like Maitland-Niles choosing to go to West Brom, terrible decision. And ultimately that was his decision. And I think that's when the club was really kind of more in tune with a strategic objective. Where are they going? Why are they going there? How do they play? So it's a brilliant point.
I did a very similar interview when Emil Smith-Rowe was at Huddersfield with a journalist up there. And again, he said this is the perfect place for him to learn the trade if he wants to play for Arsenal. And next season, by December, he was a regular in the first team.
Excellent. So you heard it here first, and go read Dave's article. As I said, the link is in the description. It's a really great piece, and great insights. And hopefully it'll
Not
work
mine.
out.
Not my great insights.
No, no. Well, great insights from
Chris
who?
Scudder,
Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant stuff. Okay, so we've covered BUKAYO, his rising star, the Ballon d'Or, Beth Mead, Auston Trusty. Now we get to a subject that is just dominating the column inches, and it's about managers behaving badly. Here's Klopp, otherwise known to many this week. He's being called a bit of a bully. Oh, look at that. Wouldn't like to. My eardrum would have been done after that. There's no doubt.
That's almost Kean on Van Nistelrooy.
It is, isn't it? And let's be honest, we all loved that. This was Pep in the same game, having a go at the referee. This was Pep and Arteta having a go. I think it was the 3-1 Liverpool loss a couple of seasons ago. Al Mikel going at it with Jurgen, of course. And this was the same game where City lost to Liverpool a couple of seasons ago. What is your take on this? It's just been all over the news, maybe too many column inches. It's talking about a trickle down effect in lower leagues where we've seen referees bullied and officials bullied. And I'm of the volition that referees have to, when there's been so many dodgy decisions and VAR is supposed to be helping the process, we're still seeing, some decisions being made. I think the one against Haaland and Foden was the correct decision. Did he overstep the mark? What is your take on this entire narrative?
Yeah, I did. He did for me, actually. And the person I blame for all this, of course, is Jose Mourinho. He started it, and it's got worse ever since. But no, I'm joking to a degree. But I do think I blame him for anything. But I think Klopp did overstep the mark, and I'm all for passion on the touchline. I love the way Arteta does it. And the one time he overstepped the mark, his team lost badly, and that was Liverpool last year. We were in that game. We were level pegging, if not better. One decision, he completely lost it with Klopp, and his team watched their manager lose it, and they lost it. And this is the whole thing with Arsene Wenger. He would never do it. He did it about 3 times in 21 years, or whatever it was. And it all came for, I remember doing an interview with somebody who'd spent time with him, and it was all down to, he only spent 1 year in Japan, but it's had such an influence on him that it was that whole, there's no point shouting instructions at players from the touchline. Now, I'm not saying I agree with that. I'll come back to that. But his argument was, in Japan, the culture in Japan is that nobody doesn't do their best. In whatever you do, whether it's cooking, whether it's your job, whether it's playing football, you only do your best in Japan. If you're not doing your best, that's just completely alien to them. So Wenger said, well, when I started shouting at players in Japan, they were looking at me like, why are you shouting at us? We're already doing our best. We're doing our best. That's what we do in Japan. And that really had a massively profound, impression on Wenger. So he would never shout at players, because his argument was, I've told them what I want them to do. I know they're going to try for me. So what's the point of me shouting at them to try harder? So that's a bit of an aside, but it comes back to that, what you can and can't do and what you shouldn't do from the touchline. So I think that's one extreme. I think the other extreme is what I like about Arteta, and he doesn't necessarily scream and shout, but he does deliver instruction from the touchline. He's not saying run harder, do better, but he does deliver instruction. He will almost to the point of take the throw in here, to give it to that person, move here on the pitch. That I like. So I love the instruction and passion from the touchline that Arteta had. So there's a balance. But what I don't like is completely over the top reactions like that. And I didn't like the way that the Arsenal players were surrounding referees, against Leeds and against Liverpool, because we've sat here and you've all seen it on social media. We hate it when Liverpool, Man United do that. We absolutely despise them. Who do they think they are? Big clubs trying to influence referees. I don't want my club to be like that. And I don't like the way Liverpool have become like that. And that's because of Klopp, because he is so influential that the players think that's the way we do things. So that's why I don't like it, because I don't want my club to be the sort of club that we have 11 players surrounding the referee. Passion, aggression, enthusiasm, but not hounding the referee like that. I just don't like it. And I think Klopp encourages it, unfortunately. That's a really long answer to a short question.
No, I love it. It's because I'm going to pick a couple of things because you mentioned Manchester United, and Ten Hag was defending his team over what happened at the weekend with the Ronaldo situation, and he said, "I don't think that we overstepped our mark." And if you look at the picture, it's like an old school Man United shot from the Sir Alex Ferguson days, where there's almost 11 players around the referee. Now, I want to ask you the question this way because I think Sir Alex Ferguson is the one that started this intimidation. And a little bit, and I'm going to have to be careful how I say this, but there's mental um, bullying, if you like, and physical, right?
Mm.
And Sir Alex Ferguson was a master at mentally intimidating the officials. We saw it when now in the height of our rivalry. Wenger used to have to address it a lot. He would always plant a seed, especially with particular teams, definitely with us. What's the difference between the two? Because a lot of fans at the time thought that there were times he got away with bringing the game into disrepute. Into disrepute. What's your take on that, Dave?
Well, yeah, I mean, I do accept that, and he was the master of it. But what it's not going to do is incite trouble on the pitch or incite trouble in the stands.
Mm.
The way that Klopp behaves could, having planting a seed about all that referee was very generous to Arsenal last time, wasn't he? I hope he isn't like that again. He's very clever, but it's not. It's clever, but it's not aggressive, and it's not going to incite something. I don't think. I'm not saying either's right, but I don't see that as dangerous or bringing the game into disrepute because he may have started it, but now everybody does it. It's like tapping up. Tapping up used to be illegal. Every signing in the world is done by tapping up these days, and nobody says anything. Things change, but the Klopp thing, the problem is also the media love it. They love Klopp because of his passion on the pitch and the way he hugs his players, and that's fine. And I love that. I love the fact that Arteta does it. I love it. I love the camaraderie and the collectiveness that we've got as a squad and with the coaching staff, and that's fantastic. But I just think I don't want it to go any further than that. I don't want it to be running up and confronting referees. Arteta pushes it. He goes a little bit outside his technical area. Certain other managers will run 20 metres down, as Guardiola did, I think, at the weekend, and as Klopp does. It just... Yeah, it also sends, I think sends out the wrong signal that managers of bigger clubs can get away with it more than managers of smaller clubs as well. I think. Are
you still okay? I know you mentioned Arteta. Some people in the chat think that we would have lost that Liverpool game anyway. I think that we lost. Arteta said in his presser today, a team is the image of their manager, and I've said on this show, every great manager builds a team in their image, and that's the personality. And sometimes I worry because he's very emotional. Does that emotion spill over? I asked Andrew Mangan this the other night. Are you worried about that spilling over, especially in big games? Is that something that concerns you?
I think he's learned. I genuinely think he's learned. I mean, we can watch the Amazon documentary and we see it behind the scenes, but I haven't seen it as much this season, or even back end of last season. When things were going badly, he didn't do it on the touchline. I think he's learned to control it. I think he's a very measured young man. Let's face it, he's a thinker. That's not to say he hasn't got aggression and he's not passionate, because obviously we know he is. But I think he learned a lot from Arsene Wenger, and I think he's almost like he's learned from two completely different masters, hasn't he? And I think he's moulding his own managerial and coaching style from those he's worked with, whether it be Moyes, more like to be Wenger, and certainly Guardiola. And I think what we're going to see, and let's hope we see it for years to come, is this magnificent hybrid of Wenger and Guardiola. Guardiola's clever with but he's not often aggressive. He doesn't run and get aggressive with officials, or he'll have a sly word with a player, as we've seen, or a referee, but it's not aggressive, and it's not going to get the fans riled, which I think is a concern.
Yeah, I don't mind him having that pragmatic side of Moyes either. Don't mind that at all.
No.
Between and did he work? Was he? Yeah, Walter Smith. Was he at Everton when Walter Smith?
Yeah, he would have been. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Kevin loves Walter Smith. He raves about.
Yeah.
He raves about Walter Smith. And it's an emotional sport. There's no doubt about it. I love you saying that in chat. Right. This has been a epic 45 minutes with Dave Seager. If you haven't got the book, Arsenal for Everyone, you can see it right there behind me. Please go and order that. It's a great Christmas gift. Some fantastic stories of our Arsenal community, wonderful characters and people who are doing and have done amazing things. And Dave highlights them in his amazing book. Check out Dave's work at Gunners Town as well. Plus, Dave has written a couple of other Arsenal books that you guys need to check out as well. Where can they find the
Maybe
Wenger book?
another one in the pipeline.
Ooh. Do we get the
Ooh.
exclusive breaking news on that one?
Well, no, not just yet. Well, a clue would be it's another collaboration with poorly drawn Arsenal. Probably that will probably tell people. The one before last was Arsenal's double, which obviously told the whole story of the two doubles in comedic verse, with poorly drawn Arsenal doing the images of some of those iconic moments in '98 and 2002. So the original intention was to do double to Invinci Bubble. And that's
nice.
I have started writing double to Invinci Bubble.
I love it.
Coincide for the 20th anniversary next season.
Brilliant.
So that's it's not. It started. It's very early, but yeah, it's planned. Now all the books are available at legendspublishing.net. The last two are available at Arsenal Direct as well via the club, who obviously collaborated and bought supplies of both, which is fantastic. I think Geordie Armstrong on the wing, there's a few at legendspublishing.net, and the other one was with all the Arsenal supporting comedians, which also may well be sold out, collector's item.
Love that too. Brilliant. Absolutely awesome. We're going to give our predictions now. And you're right. I keep forgetting about Rangers. Why is that? I'm a space cadet when it comes to Mikel Arteta and Rangers. That's a Scottish.
He played in Saka's position a lot for Rangers. He played wide right when he was a bit sprightlier in his early Rangers days, and then Walter Smith played him on the right initially for Everton as well. It was a while before he moved into the centre.
Brilliant stuff, and great seeing him for sure. Rich, thanks so much. It is always top quality. And Gunnar 8 Dave says great insight. Avon, thank you for the great content.
I'll make it up as I go along, chaps.
Brilliant stuff. How are our Arsenal
women check my
playing?
facts. They're all rubbish.
We do have a fact checker, by the way. They always let us have it. So you're in for it for sure. Our Arsenal women are playing in the Champions League. We're going to let you all go give our predictions so you can go watch the football. And we are winning 3-1. Mido, of course. Well done, guys. Thanks for the update. He is a great guy. What's your prediction for tomorrow night?
3-1 to the Arsenal tomorrow night. And
scoring.
Oh, who's scoring tomorrow night? Marquinhos will score. Nketiah will score 2.
Nice. I like that.
4-0 at St Mary's on Sunday.
Love it. Oof. I like that.
Just need to get a bit more goal difference.
Brilliant. Great stuff. K Marlon says, love you, Dave. Always gives balanced views. Love the club. True gent. Dave, that makes 2 of us. I just guess, says Demsek. Love that. All right. That's all we got time for today. Don't forget to go visit Zenith Coins. Please go give them a shout out. And as you know, we're going to be giving away our coin this holiday season as well. It's a beautiful thing. And we are partnering up with Zenith, and they are the official partner of our Arsenal Football Club. 25% off. Use code HS20, and you can get your mates a lovely Christmas gift. And let's just say we might be gifting one to this fella, seeing as he does wonderful things for us too. Will he be on the honours list for the Highbury Squad this holiday season? I think he might just be. Until tomorrow, you guys, take care and have a great night. Enjoy the football. Thank you, Dave. At ease, everyone. At ease.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad. The Highbury Squad is powered by Zenith Coins. Support the future, treasure the past. Official licence partner of the Arsenal Football Club. Follow at Zenith Coins across all social platforms.